Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Batcave, a series of fast-paced 30-minute political shows aimed at opening the eyes of America to what is currently taking place in our country. I'm your host, Batmobile, and our guest today is a young lady whose YouTube videos of her Quran readings using bacon slices for bookmarks has brought her many conservative fans throughout the country, Miss Ann Barnhardt. Welcome to the show, Ann. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, thanks for having me, but I got to correct you. I ain't no lady, so just remember that.
Well, I beg to differ. Anyway, so, Ann, can you tell us a little about your background so that we get a glimpse as to who Ann Barnhardt really is?
Sure. I'm just a very, very normal American person, just a young kid living the dream out here in Denver. Originally from Kansas, went to Kansas State University, and I do have a bachelor's degree in animal science, which is it's agriculture. It's beef and pork production, ranching, and my specialty is cattle. I graduated in '97, moved straight out to Denver because I wanted to live in Denver. It's a beautiful city, and I am a commodity broker. I trade futures and options on livestock and grain, and I have a consulting firm in which I teach cattlemen how to run their business and how to trade cattle. And I also have a feeding and ranching and farming operation in Kansas. So
wow.
Just a small business owner, just a completely normal, run-of-the-mill person.
That's a great resume there, Ann. Now you've become a cultural heroine to the right, standing up to South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham and his anti-American assault on the First Amendment. Can you tell us when did you get the idea for the Quran book-burning videos that you've put on YouTube, and why the bacon bookmarks?
Well, it was instantaneous. Graham appeared on Face the Nation on Sunday morning, April 3rd, and when I was eating lunch, I was kind of cruising the Internet, and I saw what he had said earlier that morning on Face the Nation, and it was just instantaneous. I knew instantly what I had to do. I had never had any plans before that of burning a Quran and putting it on YouTube. It was just an instantaneous flash of inspiration. I could not believe what I heard him say. The guy basically got on television and said that he wanted to gut the entire Bill of Rights and other amendments of the Constitution. He wanted to elevate Islam to a specially protected status. He wanted to go outside the law, outside of due process, and use the force of the government to punish people who were speaking out against Islam, which is, of course, a massive violation of the First Amendment, and on and on and on. And this guy's a lawyer. This guy is a military lawyer. And he gets on TV, and he's so stupid that those words actually come out of his mouth. Is it that he's stupid, or is it that he's evil and nefarious? I think it's probably a combination of both. But, yeah, I knew what I had to do. And in terms of the bacon bookmarks, that was just me being a smart aleck. I thought it was kind of witty, and I also wanted to show people, if you have bacon touch paper with ink on it, no Bedouin pagan moon god is going to swoop out of the sky and cut your head off. We need to stop being played and being cowed by these ridiculous Stone Age pagan superstitions, because that's all Islam is. It's a ridiculous pagan Stone Age superstition, and it's a militaristic, expansionist, seditious political cult. And we have to start calling them like we see them, stand up to this outfit and say, we're not going to take any more of this crap. So that was just kind of rubbing their face in it a little bit.
Well, I think you did the right thing, especially because you read the passages of the Quran. It wasn't just, let's burn a book. It was, this is why we're burning the book, and it made the statement, and that's exactly what the American people need to see, why this is being done.
Well, exactly.
You don't want your kids learning this,
Right. You talk to people, even people on the right, and the thing that I noticed is that nobody's read the Quran. Nobody has read the Quran. How can you be holding forth and talking about Islam, arguing its virtues, quote unquote, or its evils, either side, if you haven't even bothered to sit down and read the manifesto? And it's not hard. It's not hard to read. It's not like reading the Bible at all. It's just a collection of sayings and anecdotes that just go go from one direction to the other. The Bible is actually a historical narrative. You start with Genesis, and it goes straight through, and then you get into the wisdom books, and then, of course, you get into the New Testament and so forth. Completely different. The Quran is just the ramblings of a madman. Yep. And that's what it is. It's the ramblings of a madman. There's nothing good or virtuous. It's kill everybody in your way without mercy, behead them, cut their hands off, crucify them, rape the women, have sex with children, both little boys and little girls. God is a liar. God is a deceiver. Lie to the infidels, lie to everybody in order to advance your position. Kill, 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 no mercy, no mercy, no mercy. It's a truly degenerate, evil tome. And if anybody would just sit down and read the damn thing.
Well, if you read it, you would realize that it's the anti-Bible. Whatever was good in the Bible is bad in the Quran.
Well said. Yes, sir.
Okay, now we're seeing our commie-controlled government slowly forcing their sick agendas of Sharia law into our courts and our school systems. So what are your feelings about this and other equally disturbing agendas such as pedophilia, which is also being introduced as acceptable behavior by this regime?
Well, my position is that if the government, if any government, but if this government, if my government, in any way legalizes, accepts, or ratifies pedophilia, which is the rape of children,
right,
at that point, that government is dead to me. It is dead to me. And frankly, at that point, if it comes to that, I think that would be a more than legitimate argument for secession. You cannot live under a government, and you cannot live in a culture wherein the rape of children is legally sanctioned. And you're absolutely right. The reason that they're doing this, the primary reason that they're moving to legalize pedophilia, is because the rape of children, all the way down to infants, guys, infants, is specifically ratified, encouraged, and is part of Islamic culture. So if you're going to have Sharia law, you have to clear the deck, and you have to make sure that there's no legal way that you can prosecute Muslims for child rape, because child rape is a cornerstone of the Islamic culture. That's why they're doing this. Okay, people of the United States, it's gut check time. Are you going to stand by and let this happen? What more do you need to know that your government is evil? What more do you need to spur you to action? What is it going to take to get your fat ass off of your couch and do something about this? They want to legalize child rape. What more do you need them to do? Are you going to wait until they are slaughtering people in public executions in the streets? Are you going to wait until there are concentration camps set up? What is it going to take for this completely lackadaisical, lazy culture of ours to wake up and say, "Oh, stop! Hell no! Child rape? I don't think so."
Well, I can tell you what, it's going to take the media to tell the truth about Sharia law, and Islam, and that's not about to happen. That's
not going to happen. No.
Exactly. You want to tell us a little about the Boston speech that you were supposed to give and the controversy that was surrounding it?
Oh, sure. I was contacted by a anti-jihad rabbi, actually, out of the Boston area, Rabbi John Hausman, and he invited me to come up. He has a series of speakers that come to his synagogue and would give talks mostly centered around anti-jihad. And got me all booked in, got the plane ticket, everything was set up good to go, and then there were some people that started complaining and saying, you can't have her here. She's potentially violent. Okay? Just because I had gone on YouTube and done my thing where I burned the Quran, these people were honestly arguing that I was potentially violent, that I was racist, and that I was bigoted, which is so fascinating. I wonder what race it is that I'm racist against, because Islam has Caucasian Muslims, it has Arab Muslims, it has North African Muslims, it has Black African Muslims, it has Indian Muslims, it has Southeast Asian Muslims, there are Chinese Muslims. That pretty much covers everybody. So I'm really interested as to exactly which of the races it is that I'm racist against. But be that as it may, could not get a speaking venue. He tried to reschedule into several other facilities, and it's the People's Republic of Massachusetts. And as soon as he told them who the speaker was and what the agenda was, nobody would even host it. So, I mean, we're really to the point now in this country where freedom of speech is largely suppressed. If it weren't for the Internet, and this is why the Internet is so important right now, if it weren't for the Internet, anybody who disagreed with the Marxist, communist, Islamist agenda would not have a voice in this country. The only thing we have is the Internet, so we have to defend the Internet at all costs.
Yep, and they're trying to censor that too. Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk a little about the usurper. We know he's not in power legally, as there's just way too much evidence out there showing that. And from everything I've read, the Congress also knows he's legally not in power. So why do you think they know, yet they say nothing to the American people? I mean, aren't they committing treason by saying nothing and allowing the usurper to continue his destruction?
Yes, they are. They are committing treason. They are violating their oath of office to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. They are money-grubbing, power-grubbing degenerates. The people populating the halls of our government, and to a large extent the judiciary as well, are the scum of the universe. These are people who have no integrity, no morality. Their oath means nothing to them. The truth means nothing to them. The people who are in government today are in it, number one, to make money, okay? And right. You just go down the list of all these people in Congress. These people start out with low six-figure net worths, most of them, when they enter the Washington, D.C. realm, and by the time they're done, these people have not done an honest day's work. They have not engaged in any business activity at all, right. above board. And by the time they're done, these people are worth tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. It is a complete money laundering racket. That's all it is.
And besides that, and they're also out of touch with the reality of the average American, because they've been in office all their lives. They don't, that's why we need term limits.
Oh, absolutely. They have no idea what's going on. They can't relate to anything that's going on. Not only that, I'll take it a step further. They actively disdain people in flyover countries, small business owners. They look down on us like we're vermin and we're the enemy. This is classic Marxist dynamic. Classic Marxism says you hate the middle class, you have to destroy the middle class. And something I've been writing about on my blog is you got to understand what the code language is. And they've started doing this within about the last month or 6 weeks. They're not going to call us the middle class or the proletariat, or the bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie is the term for the middle class.
Right.
Their code word for us is the Tea Party. So when they talk about we have to declare war on the Tea Party and the Tea Party is the enemy, just substitute the word middle class in there, guys. Let's not beat around the bush. These people are Marxists. They know the only way they can come to power and maintain power is if they destroy the middle class, the small business owners. And that's what they're doing. So that's why they won't go against him, because they're all in on the racket. The other thing is a lot of them have been told, hey, if you make any moves towards Obama, it's going to start a race war. And and the people, some of whom are on the right, are having that held over their heads. Oh, you're going to start a race war, and if you make any moves against him, we're going to call you a racist.
Yeah.
Well, suck it up and man up. You can call me a racist all damn day long. I don't care. I care about the truth.
I agree with you, Ann. I lived through the race riots of the 60s after Martin Luther King was assassinated. And I'll ask the American people now, everything that you've heard from our usurper, do you think that it's worth going out there and rioting if let's say he loses in 2012, which, I already know from everything I've read that they're planning race riots if he loses in 2012. Do you think it's worth rioting as much as it was when a decent human being like Martin Luther King was killed? I mean, think about it.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So the people in power, they should realize, don't put that over us. We're going to do what's right.
That's right. Excellent point.
Now, Ann, what are your feelings about Army veteran Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin, who was sentenced to prison for questioning the non-existent U.S. birth certificate of the usurper? How wrong do you feel this injustice was?
Oh, man, he will go down in history as a hero. He is a true American hero, and it's men like Colonel Lakin that need to be populating the upper ranks of our military. And that's another thing that I could talk for an hour about. Where in the hell are the upper echelon of our military? Why aren't they asking questions? Why didn't they say, hey, if this guy's going to be the commander-in-chief, we need to see some proof that this guy's a U.S. citizen? Why aren't they saying anything when Obama is betraying the Constitution and sending our troops illegally into theaters in Libya and Yemen? A lot of people aren't very aware of the Yemen theater. Guys, we are hardcore operating. We're fighting a basic shadow war in Yemen right now as we speak. Where's the upper echelon of the military? And it's the same damn thing. They're a bunch of gutless, money-grubbing cowards. All they care about, all those guys care about above the rank of lieutenant colonel and higher. They're all politicians. All they care about is their salaries, but most important, they care about their pension. And they will not do anything or say anything at all that will jeopardize their pension. That's why Colonel Lakin is such a hero. This is a man who laid down not only his freedom, the man was sent to prison. He was at Fort Leavenworth for 5 or 6 months. He was willing to go to prison, but it's not just that, guys. Colonel Lakin walked away from about a $2 million pension, okay? $2 million in lifetime pension benefits. Walked away from it. Lost every penny of that. Do you think any of these cowards that we have now in the upper echelon of the military would do that? No, they won't do that. They'll sit by and they'll let a communist usurper completely destroy, overthrow, and collapse the United States of America and its Constitution before they raise one finger in protest because they're so damn worried about their pension. It's despicable and it makes me sick.
Well, it should. I mean, when you think about that, we have people, I wonder about it sometimes. I say, are the people at the top, have they been indoctrinated by the communists?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've heard is that it's the big problem is the service academies. We have got to completely collapse, shut down, and restart from scratch all of the service academies, because that's where these career officers are being indoctrinated with this Marxist, communist, politically correct, we're not allowed to win any wars. We have to go in and we have to handicap ourselves in order to make sure that we don't win any wars, because,
right.
We can't have the big bad American bad guy, going in and actually fighting and winning a war. Ladies and gentlemen, we have not actually won a war in this country, honest to goodness, since World War II. When did the communist infiltration start? Immediately after World War II. If you think that that's a coincidence, I got a big red bridge out in California I'll sell to you.
It's amazing. I mean, you're absolutely right. We haven't, and every war since then has not really been a war that we should have been in. It wasn't something like a world war where the United States. It was, their lives or ours. We were basically.
Well, we haven't even declared war. The last constitutionally declared war was World War II. Everything else has just been these, what do they call them now, kinetic military actions. That crap has to stop.
Well, I don't know.
Either you declare war and you have an objective and an end goal, or we're not sending our boys over there.
Right. Was it General Eisenhower? Well, actually President Eisenhower on his farewell speech that he warned the United States about using our military for exactly what's being used for today? Yeah,
absolutely.
We really, when you think about it, the United States, we have to pull back. There's no reason for us to be in any of these wars right now when you think about it. I mean, hey, come to our borders. Our wars, we should seal our borders and say, you know what, let's just stay here, put our guys right on the border and say, okay, try to enter now, and let's investigate everybody.
Well, I see what you're saying. I agree with you partially, but on the other hand, if there are massive threats to not just our security, but the entire global economy. Look, we are the world's policemen, like it or not, okay? And this is a Dennis Prager riff that I think is just brilliant. We are the world's policemen, and if you don't like that, you need to understand that if we don't step up and we don't act as the world's policemen, then, it's going to be China.
Yeah.
China is going to be the world's policeman. Really? Do you want that? You want a nation, a Marxist, communist, brutal, corrupt nation that also, Gold Star, has 300 million more breeding age males than females because they've done the one-child policy and they've done all this selective abortion. They have 300 million too many men. Do you really want to step back and hand the reins of global policing to that? If you do, the Chinese are gonna own the entire world, because they've got the men to do it. In fact, They're so corrupt, they're looking for a reason, they're looking for wars to get into eventually so they can kill off all those extra men that they have. So my argument is if we're going to go in anywhere, we need to declare war. And we need to change the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War and change the Secretary of Defense back to the Secretary of War so that we have a proper psychological perspective on all this. We have been blessed. We are badasses, and we can kick anybody's ass 9 ways from Sunday. But we have to be willing to do that. Otherwise, we're just, it's meaningless. And that's what we're doing now. We're sending our treasure, these precious, awesome American young men and young women, but mostly the young men, who are going over there and they're just cannon fodder for nothing, with no end goal, no objective, nothing.
It's really sad. Now, how did you get the idea for those signs that I've seen clips of them on the highway? I'm not sure where they are. The signs that read, quote, "Obama is a fraud, demand resignation now, God bless America," and I believe the other sign says, "Wanna be Marxist dictator." Both which are dead
absolutely. That was kind of the first thing that I did, and I did that pretty quickly after Obama came into office. And the billboards themselves are actually in Kansas. They're on I-70 if you're driving eastbound on I-70, just east of Junction City, Kansas, and just west, just before you get to Fort Riley, Kansas, which is It's the home of the Big Red One. So I put those up there because I wanted those guys who are going in and out of Fort Riley. I could see all this coming. I could see that Obama was a Marxist, that he had dictatorial ambitions, and that there was an incredibly high risk that before the end of even his first term, that he would attempt to foment a civil war and possibly be asking our armed forces to fire on American citizens. And so that's why I put those up. I want those guys, I want them thinking. I want those enlisted men thinking about this and understanding that Obama, if the illegal orders start to come down, they should not follow them. And I also want them to think about his legitimacy at all. He is a fraud. Is he really the commander-in-chief? Do you have to follow his orders? Are his orders lawful? You and I know that the answer is no. Unfortunately, the military won't talk about this.
Well, it's scary when you think about it, because sometimes I wonder if they are sent, to our homes and basically to, let's say they enact martial law. I mean, how is our military going to react? Are they going to say, no, these are the American people, we're going to defend them, or are they going to come to our homes and say, we're going to take away your weapons, and if we have to shoot you, we will? I mean, it's scary.
I've heard that there has been a large infiltration of liberals into the ranks of the military. What I'm hearing is that it's something like 80-20, 80% conservative, 20% Marxist liberal. Of that 20%, how many of those people are really so far gone that they would fire on American citizens? I hope and pray that it's not very many at all. But then you see things like what's going on with the TSA and how there are these people out there who really, if you give them the power to oppress and abuse other people, they'll jump all over it because they in a twisted way enjoy it. And if you look back at Marxist regimes throughout the 20th century, they never had any problem whatsoever gathering up people, thugs, to do their enforcement work for them. Hitler had absolutely no problem populating the ranks of the Gestapo and the SS. No problem at all. The Soviets never had any problem finding people who were willing to shoot and kill their neighbors and their fellow citizens. I like to think that there's still a tremendous amount of integrity in the United States military, but I don't know. There's infiltration. There's hardcore infiltration.
There definitely is. Now, our country's on the brink of falling. Many of us don't even believe we're going to make it to November 2012 without some sort of crisis, natural or otherwise. And they'll probably take the opportunity to enact martial law if something like that should happen. What do you think the dictator, if the dictator were to do something like that, what do you think the people should be doing to prepare for such a crisis in case it happens?
buy guns, buy guns, buy guns, buy guns, and ammunition, 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 and guys, not pistols. I get emails from women who are saying, well, should I buy a revolver? No, you don't fight wars with handguns, ladies and gentlemen. You need to be armed. It not only is it your constitutional right to be armed. Congress shall make no law. Okay, you have the constitutional right to be armed, but number two, it is a human right. It is a right given to you not from your government, but from God Almighty, that as a sovereign human being and as a precious human being, you have the inherent right to defend yourself. And you have the inherent right to keep and bear arms that will allow you to defend yourself. And in 2011, ladies and gentlemen, that means guns. It doesn't mean swords. It doesn't mean slingshots. It means guns. You have the divinely ordained right to defend yourself and arm yourself. And in my opinion, you have the moral obligation and responsibility to be armed, to know how to use your firearms, and to be prepared to defend yourself.
Absolutely. And with all the evidence, like you said, the TSA, take a good look at the people in the TSA. Do they look like Christians? They look like they're all atheist Marxists, and they look like they're out to get us, like they're making us the enemy. So you have to prepare. You have to know these people are out there.
Absolutely. They do not observe the golden rule, treat others as you would like to be treated. And the other thing that is completely being shunned and driven out of our culture is the notion of truth and common sense and reason. Okay? The 94-year-old grandmother who is dying of leukemia does not have a bomb on her, and you don't need to make her go take off her bladder control garment in order to prove that she's not a terrorist. Logic, reason, and common sense tells you this. At the same time, a 25-year-old Arab-looking Muslim man is a risk. He needs to be profiled. I don't care if that's racist. I don't give a crap. These are the people who are executing acts of terror. Every act of terror executed in terms of the airlines since, good grief, the early 1970s. Every single one of those acts has been carried out by Muslims. Common sense, reason, logic, and truth tells you that's who you go after. You don't touch the genitals of children, and you don't bother people who are in their 90s and who are dying of cancer. But see, this willingness to deny the truth, deny logic, and deny common sense, it's evil, it's satanic, and it's the cornerstone of Marxism.
And I sometimes wonder if people have been so indoctrinated by the left that they no longer know what common sense is. Now, Ann, do you ever fear for your life for speaking the truth?
No, I fear no man. I fear God Almighty, and I fear that when I get to my judgment at the end of my life, that I will be standing there before Christ, and He will look at me and He will say, "Why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you defend me?" And that's what I'm going for. That is what I fear. The only fear I feel is fear of the Lord. If I die 5 minutes from now, so be it. Let it be done to me according to God's will. That the only thing I fear is whether or not I am fulfilling my obligations and my vocations as a Christian to my Lord and Savior. Period. Full stop.
You're right. I think most Americans should feel the exact same way. If not, we're in trouble.
Yes, sir.
All right, Ann, we're going to have to wrap it there as we're running out of time, but I'd like to thank you for coming on the show and sharing with us your views on everything from Sharia law to how we're going to get out of this mess. It's not going to be easy, but, you know, you are a true American patriot. And by the way, I love your prissy pink AR-15. I think it's awesome.
Oh, thanks a million. And it's a real one. It's not a toy, so.
Yeah, stay safe. All right, we've been talking with God-loving American patriot Ann Barnhardt, who is, in my opinion, she represents the best of what America is all about. If more Americans shared Miss Barnhardt's views on our country and God, the United States would once again be the wonderful nation our founding fathers envisioned her to be. America, consider it our duty to wake up the people in our country to the truth of what's happening to our nation. The entire lamestream media of the United States is just as corrupt as most of our politicians are. They'll never tell us what's really happening, so it's our job as citizens to let the uninformed know the truth. We need the sheeple to wake up and be on our side for 2012 if we're to survive as a nation, because a house divided cannot stand. That'll do it for today's show. Until next time, this is Batmobile thanking you for joining us in the Batcave. God bless.